Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the improvements we've made or refinements we've made to these credit plans. So right now, if we take a look at this one as sort of a typical high school requirements plan, and it's covering kind of the basics, of credits of English and math and social science and science, etc. But there's some kind of subtleties here that are missing. So one of them is, let's take a look at science, for example. So in science, let's say this school actually has a requirement for one of these credits needs to be physical science, and you don't see physical science here covered. And so now it looks like these requirements are completed, but really they're missing one of the required courses. So we need a way to deal with that. And then furthermore, we also need a way to capture this. This is the required courses, and everything else kind of that doesn't match required currently gets dumped into these extra credits. But we want, often there's a requirement for a certain number of electives. So we want to be able to capture that and make sure that the total credits is accurate to what students are working for. So we don't get to 15 out of 15 and then we're just like, oh, we're missing 10 required credits or something like that. Okay, so we've added some things that will help refine this picture and make it a little bit more complete. So let's go through how to do that. So first of all, let's start with dealing with this thing of about required credits in science. So I'm going to go into the admin area, and I'm going to go under credits, and I'm going to go to learning plans. So you see now it used to just have one type of thing to add at the bottom here. Now we have a few different kinds of rules, so including elective rule. But let's take a look at the science one here. So now we can specify a subject area of science that 3 credits are required there, but we can also include specific course requirements. So in this case, we're going to choose physical science, and we're going to say that 1 credit is required. So basically, that's going to mean that 3 credits of science are required, but one of them needs to be physical science. So I'm going to save that. Now let's go back and take a look at that student and see how the picture has changed. So now before we had the science credits as showing complete, and now it's showing 2 out of 3. And the reason is because it's reserving essentially 1 credit behind for physical science. And that's clearly marked for the students so they know that the things that are required, kind of sub-requirements underneath the subject area. So now once the physical science credits are assigned, then this will become 3 out of 3, and credits will be kind of totaled up accordingly, and it's a more accurate picture for students. So then the next one is these ones that are kind of above and beyond. Rather than putting them in the bottom here, we want to include them in the count in general. So this is where we're going to add a elective rule. So we're going to go back into the admin area, credits and learning plans, and we're going to add an elective rule here. So you can only have 1 elective rule per credit plan. So it's basically going to say anything that doesn't match any of the previous rules are going to be considered elective. So let's say this school requires 25 credits in total. 10 of them needs to be electives, and the rest, are covered in the requirements here. So now the total is 25. And it's going to kind of bring those electives back in. Before we take a look at that and what that looks like, you can also, if for some reason there's certain courses that can never be, or certain credits that could never be treated as electives, or you want a certain subject areas to never be treated, then there's some exclusion rules you can add in as well. Okay, so now that we've added that in, let's go back and take a look at our buddy Peter again. Okay, and now we see elective rule there, so the total count is 25. It's a little more accurate. The percentage towards completion is a little bit more accurate, and all those things that were previously treated as extra credits are now included as part of electives. Extra credits will still be there, so once they surpass 20, in this case surpass 25 credits, then the other credits will be considered extra, and they'll just show up just so we make sure all the credits are appearing somewhere. Okay, hope that gives a more refined picture, more accurate towards the school's requirements, and a better measure of progress for students earning credits.